go. Well, I wish that we could have had that cool intro, but our platform.
Out of all our music, how doesn't that one get a copyright strike?
I like it. It reminds me of that old intro. I think it was the Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah,
I can't remember
across
which
the
one, but
nation.
it very much brought me back to that. But welcome everybody. This is episode 637 of the Purple People Podcast. We're going to talk about some pre-draft buzz. I don't know what was going on with our platform. It said could take up to 2 minutes. Normally, for all you nerds out there that like this stuff, I clicked the little intro button. I hit the show music, and we go live with my exactly this much experience ever producing anything. And yeah, I guess this platform is in high demand right now. So no
And I
intro
also
song
tried
tonight.
linking us to TikTok, so maybe we'll be able to do that next show, but not this one.
That'll be
I'm not super excited for that because I know TikTok audiences are a bit more aggressive, we'll say.
Just a little bit. But yeah, let's get into it, man. It's just Adam and I tonight. Kyle wants to take a little time off, and I don't blame him. It's kind of slow at the moment, but we've got some things to talk about. The last time that we were on the show together, we had the big news of the Vikings signing Kyler Murray. They added Carson Wentz as well, so you've got Kyler Murray, Carson Wentz, J.J. McCarthy, and I'm not sure what Max Brosmer is doing. Probably practice squad, I would guess. We kind of covered last time, but
Yeah,
that
he's
was
still on the
big news.
roster.
Yeah, so that'll shake out eventually. But it is April the 2nd. It is draft month, so that is in the coming weeks. Not a lot of Vikings news directly. Some sad stuff we got to talk about. Some other Vikings players that were Minnesota adjacent at one point. We get to talk about, but not a lot going on. I'm going to let Adam kind of drive the show because I've got his articles up on the Viking Age, which you guys should go check out and support him with. But I'm going to let you drive the show, man, because I know you're a little more in tune. I just got back from 2 weeks of vacation, so this is
But
literally
you also
like...
missed the show with Kyler Murray, so it'd be interesting to hear what you thought of him coming to Minnesota and signing that very team-friendly deal to stick around for a year.
I think this was the best move they could have made given the field of, like... I don't want to even say meh because I feel like the word meh is underwhelming to the likes of Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Kirk Cousins because looking at what he did, that deal that he signed with the Raiders is essentially a one-year deal worth $20 million. But did they really need to do that?
Like you said today, my thought when I said why, I thought he wanted. I was under the assumption he wanted to start somewhere, especially leaving
Start
Atlanta.
or be competitive, one of the two.
Yeah, and by all accounts, I think he will be when the first game comes around for week one. Unless Fernando Mendoza, I keep wanting to say I keep wanting to switch the M and the F around. I don't know why. If Mendoza just blows him out of the water like Russell Wilson did the first year he came into the league, and he takes over the guy that they, the savvy vet that they signed. Unless that happens, I would say Kirk would probably be ready to go. He has familiarity with Clint Kubiak, the new coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, he just won a Super Bowl as the OC with the Seattle Seahawks. They have familiarity together from years worth of. Was he the quarterback coach at the time? I want to say
I'm not
no.
sure, but I know that Sean McVay probably drove that price up for Kirk Cousins by saying, we wouldn't mind having him on the Jets it's on the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's a good point too.
Kirk Cousins' agent is a miracle worker. I don't know how he's doing.
He's the Tom Brady of agents. I don't understand how. And this is shade at Kirk, but it's not because we have to. I always like to bring this into every quarterback conversation. These people are the 0.0000001% of the world. And I know this is a bad example, but we have to keep context of. I forget, it was some Chris Brown song. It was like, how are you going to talk shit about the club and you can't even get in? All of us are couch potatoes. I never played 1 second of football in my life. I'm just a fan. When Dan Orlovsky gets on and says something you think is ridiculous, just know that man made it into the league and he started NFL games. He has loads more experience than we will ever know. And then you keep climbing up the ranks. It sounds like I'm crapping on Kirk Cousins, and I'm not.
But you're looking at it the right way. I mean, there's a lot of casual fans out there that would look at that and be like, Dan Orlovsky was a crappy quarterback. Why would I listen to what he has to say? Yeah, in the scope of being among the absolute elite at what he does, sure. But he is one of the best people to ever play that position because he made it to the NFL.
I think there's something to be said for someone that knows Jared Allen is about 6 feet away from you and he's going to chase you and try to take your head off live in action on TV. Like, we don't take in all of that, the sounds, the environment, the stress and anxiety these guys have, and they want to highlight one play, you know. Oh, he ran out of the back of the end zone. Yeah, he also threw touchdowns in the NFL. How many have you thrown?
Players out there and their wives are like, "Hey, give me that Birkin bag."
I'm so glad we got to have. I think of literally every time somebody says it, I'm like, but how? That would be like, well, I played, t-ball when I was a child, and I'm talking about Aaron Judge on the Yankees. Like, we're worlds apart. But the point, driving it back to Vikings related stuff, is Kirk only winning at one playoff game, having a couple of appearances. He's been consistently what general managers feel like, and this is just my opinion, he is the safest bet you could have had in his era, in his 10 years of like his prime. One of the safest bets you could ever had. He never got hurt. He got hurt, year 12 in the league?
Yeah.
And then he never caused any drama. Now, you can say the COVID stuff was whatever, but COVID was weird for all of us. And
right.
Outside of that,
having him on your roster brings your quarterback floor, the floor of that room brings it up really high.
That's the best thing. You said so many good things on this show, but that specific phrase is perfect. He raises your floor from like, damn, if this kid's bad like Anthony Richardson, we could have a top 5 pick. You're not getting a top 5 pick with Kirk Cousins. No chance. You're going to compete for a playoff spot every year because he is so consistent. And the money driving this home, I thought he wanted to start. I thought Pittsburgh made the most sense. If he wanted to just call somebody or have his agent call somebody and say, hey, look, I will sign with you right now. And then they could have chosen a 5 or 6 year quarterback younger in age than Aaron Rodgers, not have to worry about it. Looks like Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be the answer there. Otherwise, they're screwed in Pittsburgh. But I like this. I think when I think Kirk and Cousins, and I'm like, well, who's comparable? I think of Fernando Mendoza. The dude, if you've listened to any of his interviews, he is as polished as they come. He gives all the answers I hate because they're all automated. And he's kind of a dork. And that's exactly what a general manager wants. They're like, I don't want you drinking and driving. I don't want you doing drugs. I don't want you doing domestic stuff. Anything crazy, just I want you to be obsessed with the game. And without a doubt.
Speaking of that, the Vikings they've noted now that they are intending on using the 50-year option on Jordan Addison.
I like it. Especially
I don't know if they're actually going to use it, but at the very least, that gives them another offseason to figure out what they want to do with him.
I like it because when Jalen Naylor leaves, God forbid they get into a pissing match with Jordan Addison and all you have is Justin Jefferson.
And Naylor is in he plays for the Raiders now, right?
Yeah, he went to Vegas.
Nice.
Yeah, with that room, those two themselves are great, but we've talked so many times over the years in this show about depth and the importance at any position. With Jalen Naylor leaving, I'm not sure that I feel confident at this point in time on April 2nd that Ty Felton is like a surefire wide receiver 3. He'll be on the roster. He'll provide some sort of services for the Vikings,
and when he had some opportunities, he looked okay, but you don't want to put all your eggs in that basket.
That's a big gamble. Good reference. I wouldn't do it as a betting man if we had to do this like in a DraftKings. Like, well, Ty Felton will guaranteed be wide receiver 3 of the Vikings, and he'll have this and this. I'm not ready to get anywhere near that at the moment.
No.
But I do want him to have the opportunity to try. But I think they should try to find help, whether it's the draft or free agency later. But yeah, I like it. Jordan Addison's a solid player. He's had a couple of hiccups where he's been a dummy. But overall, I don't think he's a bad human. I think he just needs a little more mentorship. And if they can unlock his full potential, bring it back to Diggs and Thielen, Boss Carter, Thielen and Jefferson. Like, there's always this dynamic wide receiver duo in the last 3 decades. Bring it back because these two.
I would love some kind of like 3 deep thing coming back.
Oh. Well, hopefully Hawkinson's back to like his true self after taking that.
And Kyler Murray does love his tight ends, so who knows?
I like it. To answer your point, though, going back, I thought I talked about Murray. I know I had in my last little thing it said 5'10" and something inches. So I don't remember if I made the last one or not. But yeah, I think with the available quarterbacks, unless you were going to try to trade for someone, I think this is. I think it was a perfect pairing. Kyler sort of needs Minnesota. He needs a little rejuvenation. We need someone to challenge JJ McCarthy, and I would not be happy with this coaching staff if you fired the general manager and you just straight roll into next year with like just Carson Wentz, just JJ McCarthy, and Max Brosmer again. Like you should always look to upgrade, and you should always be looking like I do it with my job. I've been with the government for 18 years. I was looking 2 days ago for something. I am so comfortable in my position. I love what I do. That doesn't mean you shouldn't look and try to get better. And I like that the Vikings did that because it only goes one of two ways. If it's terrible and he's cheap, I still think he's probably better right now than McCarthy is. And if he happens to blow it out of the water, you have the Sam Darnold thing again. It's like, hey, do we want to pay this guy or do we want to draft? Like, what do we want to do? I don't see like any terrible scenario unless it just absolutely fails, which if it does, J.J. McCarthy will get time again because you don't have that pressure of, well, we just signed a big free agent. Like, let's say, for instance, we just gave Kyler like a 3-year, $130 million deal. You got to play that guy. But if he plays terrible this year or gets hurt, here, JJ, you get another chance to prove it.
You bring up a great question because we're looking at that quarterback depth chart, and right now you and I are probably both assuming that Kyler Murray is going to be quarterback one starting the season.
I'd bet my mortgage payment on it.
But it gets a little confusing when you get into 2 and 3, assuming that Carson Wentz's shoulder is okay coming into the season. Mm-hmm. Would you prefer him as quarterback 2 or 3?
Here's what I would prefer. I would prefer they have, number one, an all-out competition to see. This guy's clearly the best, Kyler. This guy's clearly number 2. This guy's clearly number 3. If J.J. McCarthy makes a big leap forward and he is right there with Carson Wentz, I don't care if you put either or. And if he had to leave it to me and say, Coach Kyle Smith, these two are about the same. JJ's improved a lot over the offseason. I'd keep Wentz for number 3 because I don't want to have him, God forbid, he have to come in and get hurt, on a random
I know
Sunday.
Max is in there too, but he'll be number 4 on a practice squad maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, I would say probably practice squad for him. And, dude, I feel so bad. He shouldn't have ever saw the field last year.
He got put in such a bad situation.
But, yeah, if I had it my way, I'd want JJ to be ready to go. I want him to have that mentality of you're the backup right now or you're the second on the chart. If anything goes wrong, be ready to jump in immediately. And Carson's been to every level of the NFL, and he's been on so many teams. Like, he's a true professional. And I know he likes it there because he immediately signed back again even after he got hurt last year.
Right.
So
and he got thrown into the wolves, and he came right back.
You got to give that guy all of the credit for getting out there and hurting himself and playing with grit because, like, dude, he's made, $80 million in his career. He's on his, 6th or 7th team. He doesn't have to be out there. He just wants to play. So,
and when we're talking about people that, are filling in for players that got hurt, it sounds like Blake Brandel is going to be the Vikings' answer at center, which I don't like that they're taking away his versatility at other positions, but I love that they're filling a position of need.
When you were the first person I thought of when this news came out, and I also I don't know, I like this a lot. It feels a lot like Garrett Bradbury all over again, and I don't say that as as a slight to him. I never saw Garrett Bradbury as a top 10 center, but I also never thought of him as being like, oh God, we have to go out and we have to fix this now. He was pretty middle of the pack, and I think that's a fair assessment.
Brandel looked good when he got in there.
Yeah, he looked fine, and that's good. My concern is, okay, we're going to keep him, but you have round 1, you have 18th overall, round 2, 49th, the 82nd and 97th pick in round 3. That's where I want them to really, if it's somebody's even in the neighborhood that you're thinking of taking him there, go get another center. It's not going to hurt you.
I'd love to see like a guard center hybrid, something like that.
Yes, exactly what I was getting to.
Some sort of interior offensive lineman.
Yes, my thoughts exactly. If you can find a guy that you can put at either of the guard spots and that is capable of playing center, go get him. There's upside. There's a little challenge and competition there, but the depth. I pounded the table on this if you guys didn't know, I joined this show the season right before Mike Zimmer became head coach. The first episode I ever guest hosted on was after Cincy put a hurting on Minnesota way back in the day. Might have been when Carson Palmer was still on that team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Before we drafted Bridgewater, all that. I remember watching and not really understanding what I've seen, and that was what 2013, 14. Now that I've absolutely obsessed over stuff and like just self-taught, what I've seen more often than not, and especially in the last 10 years, but any years in the NFL, you don't get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl if you have a shitty offensive line and a shitty defensive line.
No.
You just don't. It's not possible because everything the team that you're playing, they're either going to have really good one of those or both. What I want to see the Vikings do is have a surefire, hands down, like we have a great offensive line. Now, whoever's back there, we can get the most potential out of. I think that, and his Donovan Jackson, his name escaped me. I think he's going to be fine. Yep. I think you still have good shelf life for your tackles, at least 3 or 4 more years. And if Will Fry stays at right guard, all you have is center. I just want to see a healthy team for 2 or 3 years have like a real road grading, like tough offensive line. And you and I both know, for at least for the Spielman era, sometimes in the last couple of years, they just been kind of like, we'll get offensive linemen. If they're not like premier tackles, we'll get them in the 6th, 7th round, and like we'll just get these guys we can plug anywhere. And
well, there used to be this narrative that like you can get offensive linemen anywhere.
Yeah,
and
no, that's not true.
Has changed so much over the last maybe 15 years.
Yes. They're a dime a dozen, the blue chip ones. And you can say that for every position, but I want to see that happen. I didn't like that approach where it felt like we were always pulling like the bottom third of the starters of the league, and like they're like, oh, well, we have premium everywhere else, we'll be fine. And I really think that's been their downfall some of the times they've gotten close in the playoffs. The last time they had a good playoff run, they won the game in 2019 in New Orleans, and then they played San Francisco. We know how those teams are built, from the inside out. Lines, and then they go forward that way or backwards that way. Like, we're going to have gargoyles on each side. The Eagles, I always reference the Eagles. They've been in, 3 Super Bowls in the last 10 years? They won 2 of them. Every time, their offensive line is nasty. And I look back to thinking, like, the Patriots don't go to Super Bowls year in and year out with bad offensive lines. Even, I don't know, you could do this for every team, but take last year, for example. Seattle was fantastic. I think more of their defense, more than I think of their offense, like first. But that's where Minnesota needs to go. And if we're going to talk about center or O-line, I'm not going to be mad, especially if it's early. If it's one of those first 4 picks they have and they pick a center or a guard, well, you picked a guard last year. I don't care.
Right?
I don't care. This team has a lot of good players on it. We have to protect the quarterbacks, and this kind of comes into me defending J.J. McCarthy because I've been a hater on this show for the last year. I can't fault him when the line is in the bottom half of the league and they're doing the rotation. They tried so hard last offseason to get on paper like this really good looking line, and when it finally came to fruition, like we were week 14, and it was just like patchwork. The boat is sinking. It wasn't
until like week 9 or 10 that they actually had the full starting lineup in there on the offensive line.
That's what I was trying to get to. Like, it was at least halfway through, and you're like, damn, the what if every year. Like, the injury bug happens for everybody. But that's what I wanted to see as a fan was, let me see a really, really good O-line because then I can trust the quarter. I trust this coach. I like the coordinators. But I can't really fault quarterbacks for running for their life back there, especially Carson Wentz. Like, he's a big dude. He's athletic, but he's not running around like Lamar Jackson. Yes. He got beat up.
Now, while you're talking about the trenches, I wanted to ask you about something that I've seen on quite a bit of recently. Why do you feel like so many experts and draft analysts feel like the defensive line is Minnesota's biggest need?
Maybe because the veterans departed. I'm not sure. I think it's
do they not think that like Jalen Redmond or Taki can step in?
That's the part. See, this is why we're the nerds and we're the specialists for this team in particular. A lot of what I've seen in the last 10 years, what I've noticed, a guy like Colin Cowherd, he doesn't know the ins and outs of the Vikings. He has so much stuff he has to process hosting a show. He has 10 minions who look that stuff up for him that give him talking points. He's more of the delivery person rather than the chef, right? He's not making this stuff, but he's going to present it to you in a way that's really cool, right? People don't know that like you and I. Levi Drake Rodriguez, God, who was the other guy? He's a linebacker. Bo Richter was awesome. Like, these are not the household names where you're like, this is the guy, like, he's going to save the Vikings. But I think of them more as, like, value players. Maybe they're a B- throughout the whole season.
I want to say Bo Richter just signed his exclusive rights tender, too, recently.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm missing somebody else. Oh, you said Ingram Dawkins. Like, and let's be
And
fair.
Taki Taimani, right? That's his name.
Taki, yes. See, you're naming all these great players, and we're at a loss now because we're like, well, we lost Javon Hargrave. He was
Okay.
okay. I would have loved him 5 years ago.
I would
Or
have
like
liked him on a better contract.
that too. The money was always an issue, but or who's it? Jonathan Allen.
Yeah.
I would have loved him 5 or 6 years ago. Like this isn't the
And which
same
one
player.
of those guys got signed really quick, and now the Vikings don't really have to owe him much money at all? I don't remember which one of those it was.
I can't remember because they both moved on. I know I bumped into Javon Hargrave's like aunt on a flight, which was hilarious. Because I was on my way to the Super Bowl. She's like, my son played, or my nephew played in the Super Bowl. I was like, who? She's like, I saw your hat. He plays for the Vikings. I was like, shut the hell up, really?
That's great.
I know, my work dog's right here beside me in his kennel, too. And I'm like, this guy has gotten me so many opportunities with, like, Vikings and NFL-related stuff. Like, I wish he could comprehend how much I love this dog. Because I'm like, I've been to 3 Super Bowls in a row, the last 3 of them. And it's strictly because he's there. And you see players, you meet their family. Like, it's crazy. But Mr. Pink, I've never heard of you on the show before. That's awesome. Best player available. I'm never going to argue
Can't
that.
go wrong with it.
Adrian Peterson should be the model for that. They were doing just fine with
Adrian Peterson,
Chester
Randy
Taylor?
Moss, the guys that fall into your lap are the ones that work out the best usually.
If it feels like it's a steal, go get it. Like, I don't know. You can even say Justin Jefferson at that point because, like, I still can't believe to this day that they took Jalen Reagor in Philly over. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but yeah.
So there was
available.
a lot of rumors going around that not really rumors. I think the team actually came out and said that they were shopping Jonathan Grenard and looking to have Dallas Turner take on a bigger role. And now it sounds like they couldn't get any kind of compensation like they wanted for Grenard. So it sounds like he's probably sticking around.
I love that too. I really like him as a player. He's not going to get you the Myles Garrett headlines of T.J. Watt. I don't think he's at that level of a player, but he's that next one below. And dude, you can win a lot of games with guys like him and Van
Ginkel are so good.
And Dallas Turner. When you like you said earlier with Kirk, when you raise the floor of what that linebacker room is, I said it many times over the last 6 months. I think we have inside and outside linebackers. I think we have some of the best linebackers in the league when you do the sum of all parts. And then you have Brian Flores who pulls out like the best year ever out of Eric Wilson. People forget he was on this team before like 2 or 3 years ago.
And Wilson already resigned, didn't he?
He did. He'll be back. And it looks like you were saying, Jonathan Grenard will be back. Like, I love that because this isn't the Rick Spielman thing where like,
I would
hey,
have
the
liked
band's
to have
back
seen
together.
more from Dallas Turner.
Yeah. I think he will. I think if it plays out like we hope and how it should on paper, which is a big ask, all it means is there's going to be constant pressure that way.
They can rotate guys in, keep fresh. It should be good.
He already showed steps last year. He's on the brink of being ready. Like I love that. And then like I was saying here, this isn't the Spielman thing where like let's keep the band together and try it again. These guys are actually in their prime, not like the 1 or 2 years after where like, well, we like them for their name. The only person I give a pass to right now on that is Harrison Smith. And Kyle and I talked about that on the show last time. We were on like, hey, if he wants to skip training camp and he just wants to come play one more season without having to like waste a summer and bang himself up, I'm totally down with it.
Did it feel kind of weird that when the Vikings did that joint retirement ceremony for Ham and Thielen that Harrison Smith wasn't really included there? I know he hasn't made that decision official yet, but I think we all kind of anticipate it coming.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, was if he hasn't officially said it, then okay, I think he's coming back. I think that would signal this will be the final year. But if he ends up retiring, I would have loved to have seen him with those guys because you got to think, fullback's not a wide receiver, and neither one of those are a safety. So it would be nice to have like that hodgepodge. It pretty much shows you like that whole generation of Vikings players, and that's that whole era.
Well, don't forget that right now Minnesota does not have an official GM. They have a GM in place.
Crazy.
But that GM has to make a decision on whether to replace Harrison Smith or not. So hopefully they have some idea what direction he wants to go, even if fans don't.
That, and hopefully it doesn't pull an Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre where it just drags it out. I don't think that he would do that. He's never been that kind of guy.
It is a huge decision to make, though.
I'm gonna be honest. Whether he stays or goes, if they end up taking a safety in the first round, I'm not going to be upset with it.
No.
I think I said it last year, and I stand by this. I love the signing of Isaiah Rodgers. I love that Byron Murphy's still on the team. I love Josh Metellus. I still
Didn't
think
Minnesota
the secondary.
sign another like under the radar corner this offseason?
Yeah, it was more of a rotational piece from Pittsburgh, which I enjoy because at the time, that was kind of what you thought of Isaiah Rodgers. He wasn't a starter in Philly, but he proved his worth last year way more than he didn't. So I'd love to see how he gets used with Brian Flores. But I said it last season, and I would stick to it now. As of right now, pre-draft, April 2nd, I still think the secondary is one of the weaker places on this team. Just for the depth. I don't think the names at the top are great, but it's very top heavy. Yeah, so I wouldn't be upset. I'm interested to see what Harrison Smith does. So if he wants to come back for one last hoorah.
Remember the name of that rotational offensive tackle that Minnesota poached from
the Bills?
Buffalo Bills?
I don't remember the name.
Because I remember that Buffalo really wanted to hold on to him, but Minnesota put an offer out there and snagged him. And I know a lot of Buffalo fans are not happy.
I'll get his name now. I've become the very thing I said that I didn't want. Is that right? Great. The signing. Yep. March 20th, 2026. On Tuesday, the Vikings signed Buffalo Bills offensive tackle Ryan Van Denmark. 1 year deal worth $4.25 million.
So he'll probably take that Blake Brandel role, right?
I would assume. 27-year-old, played both left and right tackle last season. So there's your depth for tackle, which I enjoy very much.
Which puts even more emphasis, like we said, on getting that player that can swap almost any role on the interior of the offensive line. That needs to happen.
Well, it's pretty cool, too, is it says they declined to match any offers. They did pick up DJ Moore from the Bears, which took up a little more salary cap. From what I remember, they're kind of in salary cap hell. They can't do crazy moves in Buffalo. So that's one of those ones where you're like, damn, I wish I would have kept that guy. But cool, I'm glad the Vikings picked him up. This rounds out my point from earlier. If you get depth on the O-line, I'm never going to be upset with that. So
no, he's not going to be like a game changer, but like we've said before, he raises that floor, gives a little bit more depth. And that's, considering what happened with the Vikings offensive line last year, I'll take it.
Yeah. Let's see. All 7 rounds, March 9th. Oh, here we go. There's like a ad in the way for the draft, which is annoying because I was like, we have more picks than that. So we talked about this probably 3 or 4 episodes ago, but I just want to go over it again. As of March 9th, round 1, 18th overall, 2, 49th overall, 2 third-round picks at 82nd and 97th.
Well, we're only 3 weeks away from the draft, right?
This week, I think... Yeah, at the end of this week, it'll be 3 weeks away.
Yeah, Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
Not bad. They have it. So, a round 1, a 2, 2 3s, a 5th, a 6th, 1, 2, 3 7ths. And I love this too because it's on Vikings.com. So, round 3, the second one was a comp pick for Sam Darnold. Round 5 from the Eagles with the Sam Howell trade. Round 6 from the Colts with Mekhi Blackmon. And then the last 2 7ths are from the Adam Thielen and Cam Akers trade. Can we just go back over that again? Cam Akers was a Viking like 3 different times.
Right?
When has that ever happened? That's awesome. I kind of wish he would have stayed. He was fun.
I liked him.
Yeah. So they have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But Minnesota's running back situation is kind of crazy because we got Aaron Jones, who took that massive pay cut to stay in Minnesota. And then we got his backup, who could be potentially a starter. But you've also got an offense that could use a very, very strong running attack, which makes drafting a running back not off the table.
They have 9 picks. I would venture to guess, and this is, obviously the more picks you have, the better probability it would be. I would venture to say they draft a running back. I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know what their priority is. I don't know how the draft is going to fall, but I would venture to guess.
Wouldn't it be so much fun to be able to sneak a peek at the big board that they've got and know, what positions or players they like or want?
This is the stuff that I live for that you're talking about. being a person who got to go in the facility and be in the actual draft room at one point in time, and they have like what feels like 100 TVs that's just the wall, it's just televisions,
Right.
and it was like, what decision was made here on this day in this draft? Like that's the coolest thing ever, in my opinion. Yeah, I running back, I could see him drafting one, but I don't think the value for them is back where we thought it might head to quite yet. I know that the Super Bowl MVP went to the Chiefs, and they got to sign him, but Aaron Jones took a massive pay cut to stay here. The market's just not – it's not fantastic for running back, which is kind of sad. I think
they got Isaiah Pikachu that went to the Lions there, right?
Who?
Isaiah Pikachu.
Oh, I didn't know that. Pacheco went to Lions. That makes sense.
Yeah, he replaced Montgomery, right?
Yes, that's right.
Montgomery is in Houston now, if I remember right.
That's correct. And they're letting go of Joe Mixon. Just everybody.
Just hopping all over the place.
It's so funny. Yeah, I definitely could see the Vikings adding a playmaker at running back. I don't assume that it would be in the first 4 or 5 picks. Probably be later rounds, but be on the lookout for that. Who is it that they had? Didn't have much playing time, but he was drafted 3 or 4 years ago. He left as well. Damn it, I can't think of his name. I'm a terrible fan right now, but he's gone out of the running back room, so that's why I'm very.
Yeah, Ty Chandler's out of there.
That's who you're talking about. Ty Chandler is not with Minnesota anymore, so that's another reason why I'd say they're probably going to draft a running back at some point. I would guess later rounds. Mike asks, does Miami have a running back up for trade that is pretty good?
Yeah, I don't think trading for A-Chain is going to happen.
No, yeah, after they got rid of Jalen Waddle, he's like the best player on offense. So, yeah, he's not going anywhere. My buddy David says, I think we drafted a running back somewhere in the middle range. They like the kid from Nebraska. I'll look him up. I will do my due diligence this year. I'm going to look outside of quarterback. I'm going to look at every position that I can to see in the mock drafts who they've got Minnesota taking, and then who I like out of like 4 or 5 positions. I'll pick some players so we can have something to talk about on draft night.
Now, I probably will not be around for day 3 of the draft, but we're not doing anything for that, right? Just day 1?
Yeah, just day 1. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I have my son that weekend or not. I don't think that I do, but I'm usually only able to do the first night anyways, because at that point it gets really boring.
Wrestling show for that 3rd day. They got one going on, and Mick Foley's going to be there. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I just saw a video of him the other day. I forget which pay-per-view it was, but it was him and Triple H for like a hardcore match, and he was saying like Vince McMahon said, "Don't bring the thumbtacks out," and then right when he walked out of the room, Triple H looked at him and was like, "Did you bring the thumbtacks? You put them under the ring?" And he's like, "I put them under the ring." He's talking about getting pedigreed into a baseball. He's like, "I had to really tell myself, close your eyes and turn your head a little bit. You might lose an eye over this."
I don't know how some wrestlers do that. They'll like throw their own bodies at chairs and whatever.
I don't have a problem with
get themselves mentally prepared to do something like that.
I never had a problem thinking about like, okay, assuming I'm not going to jump off something like 35 feet in the air, is somebody wants to break a fluorescent light bulb over my head, I can do that. Close my eyes, no shards of glass are going to go in there, hopefully. Hitting with a chair, cool. Throw me through a table, cool. But thumbtacks? And I remember one, I don't know if it was ECW or WWE, but somebody put a staple to somebody's head and was like, pow.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck, guys?
When the indie shows I go to, one of the guys always has people like take dollar bills from the audience and staple them to his opponent.
It's fucking crazy. That and, dude, here's a throwback, because this was my era, and like, in your era for sure, too. Remember they had an Inferno match where the literal ring was on fire right outside the ropes? What are we doing? Like, cool. It's a cool concept, but
the NFL needs that fire around the field.
Well, it's funny. I was watching. I think it was Rich Eisen. They had Dean Blandino on, and I think he's like the president for the rules for the UFL now. And he was saying like we're pretty much like farming ideas for the NFL because they stole our kickoff idea later, which is cool. He's like, I want to see the game. He's a true student of the game, like being great for everybody to watch and like equal and stuff. But yeah, he was talking about how like they have if you make it from 60 yards or more as a field goal, it's 4 points instead of 3. He's like, the NFL will never do that.
No.
But I was like, man, that's kind of gimmicky, but I like it. And now you got me thinking, like, if you throw to this particular spot and it's on fire, it counts. It counts as like 10 points instead
But
of
you
6.
mentioned Dean Blandino, so I got to ask, how are you? I've not been keeping up with this, so I don't really know what's going on. What's happening with the league and replacement refs right now?
So they're trying to. The NFL is just it's like the government, man. They are so obsessed with their money and they don't want to get it touched. It's about money. That's the easy answer. But here's what I've listened to this week. They are going to have help from New York and doing the automated stuff where they can actually now make a decision on controversial big plays like the Fail Mary with Green Bay and Seattle. Remember? In that instance, if that happened now, they could call in and say, absolutely not, you F that call up. Like, this is the right call, and they can do that in real time, which is good, but there's the double-edged sword of, like, how much are we going to do that to rein it in? And that's going to highlight, just like anything with statistics, well, this referee gets called every other week. He's the shittiest ref that you have, so they're going to get put on blast. Right. And they, the idea was proposed with either Mike Florio or whoever it was like, hey, are you going to let them do face masks and stuff too? Because they miss a lot of that shit. I'm all for it because we've watched Sam Darnold and Sam Bradford get face masks like all the way around and not get called, which I think is bullshit. And I can think of the end of 2 games, the Dallas game in 2015, and then 2 years ago with Sam Darnold playing the Rams in the regular season. We're like, I don't know if the Vikings would have won, but they should have had an extra chance because that was a blatant foul that was not called. The other thing that they're looking into is, and this is good, this should have been a thing a long time ago. Let's say you and I are playing each other. You're an offensive lineman, I'm a linebacker, and I come up to you and I like push you or spit on you. And then you retaliate, you're the one who always gets in trouble because you retaliated. Yeah, they're not playing that shit anymore. If you start a fight and they see it on camera and they call it out, you can get ejected, flagged, whatever, which, hey, maybe that'll encourage these guys.
This whole development is a huge difference from what we were talking about, making the refs full-time employees and giving them more responsibility to go with their accountability and compensating them for that.
They need to get compensated well.
It doesn't even seem to be an option with the NFL.
Roger Goodell said it, and this is only stuff I've heard from hodgepodges of clips, because you guys know if you've listened to me on the show, that's literally all I do all day is consume YouTube. I'm trying to learn and listen to everything possible, and kind of my snack or my little like dirty treat is the NFL. I don't need this information. I need to keep learning my Duolingo and shit, right? Like Adam and I have streaks going all the time. I should be learning like actual stuff, but the stuff that I heard the other day was Roger Goodell saying like blatantly was like, we're not close on talks at the moment, but it's also April, so don't freak out. I don't like it because these guys aren't just like the NFL's argument is like, well, you can't compare them to NBA refs because they play more games. These refs aren't just there on Sunday. You realize every practice that the NFL teams have, there's referees there.
Yep.
They got to be good at their craft. They don't just show up on Sunday 6 days a week not doing this job. They're actually doing this half of the year, so they got to incentivize it. I know there's a program.
And refs got to train too. They got to have good cardio. They got to know this stuff and be physically ready.
And they have to take their bias out, if there is any at all, and check it at the door to say like, I'm just here to make sure the officiating goes correctly and the game is called right rather than XYZ. There's that dynamic that fans don't think about. But I'm on the side of the refs all the way, just like the players. Like, you have to pay them. There's got to be some sort of standard that you live by, because in 2026, if you allow them to go through and we have replacement refs again, all you're doing is hurting yourself, and they're going to end up screwing themselves out of money because, Adam, you know this as well as anyone. What does the NFL eventually want to do? They want to expand to be worldwide. They want to be global. If you take the replacement refs to Australia and they fuck up a game, do you think they're going to want you back? Probably not. Or that's going to be the whole talking point is like, well, it was a great game between the Jags and the Panthers, but, the referee fucked that play up at the end. And, of course, it'll be the Jags and the Panthers in Australia or London because that's always the game.
Right.
But, my point being, like, don't let that be the talking point. Don't let the referees be the reason why the game is talked about, like the Fail Mary or whatever. You shouldn't have lockouts and holdouts and stuff like that. Money should never be a thing that they argue about. The NFL makes buku amount of money anyways. Like, these refs aren't going to get paid shit in comparison to the percentage of what the league revenue is. And I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
And while that's annoying, there is something that we should probably celebrate a little bit, and that is the retirement of former Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore.
Oh,
I know
nice.
Minnesota wasn't his best place, but he had one heck of an NFL career.
Yeah. Super Bowl winner, Defensive Player of the Year, all-around professional. Kudos to him. What a great career. A lot of guys that play in the league would love to have his accolades and his achievements. So glad that we got you in Minnesota for a year. I wish that it was about 3 or 4 years prior, but he was out there, helping Bill Belichick and the Patriots stay relevant during that time. So
the Minnesota Vikings have submitted a proposal to host the 2028 NFL Draft.
I saw this. You wrote an article on March 25th, and I have it here on the Viking Age pulled up. They make a bold push to bring 2028 draft to Minnesota. That would be a little chilly, but they do have fantastic facilities to do this with. So,
oh, absolutely. That place out of Viking Lakes in Eagan, Minnesota is amazing, and I'm guessing it'll probably be at US Bank Stadium, which is Central City, and hotels, local businesses, Manny Steakhouse, they'll all be making lots of money.
They'll be making a ton of money, and like you said, downtown, the setup for the stadium. I went to a game.
The Wilf family have no problem investing in whatever they need to invest in to get whatever they need to do.
Well, it's all profit now. Remember, the stadium opened up, 10 years ago? Now we're going into the 11th year. Dude, they've already paid the stadium off. So this is all stadium's paid for, man. This is all helping the city of Minneapolis and the Vikings and the NFL out. So I hope they do.
Paid off really early.
Yeah. It was funny that was a talking point at one time. People were like, I don't want to pay for that. I don't even like the Vikings. They're like, it's not.
Well, look at some of the teams that could not agree on getting a stadium done. The Bears might have to move, and the Kansas City Chiefs might even end up moving. Who knows?
They're probably moving. The Bears look like they're moving. And then not even the teams that move. It's just the teams that don't invest in their facilities at all. Like, we've heard the horror stories. The Bengals have a horrible facility overall. Arizona's staff wasn't great. The Giants and Jets field is terrible. The Washington field has notoriously caused so many injuries.
Right.
Like, as much as I don't like turf, Minnesota definitely has a nice – number one, that practice facility is really good, and the stadium's awesome. So, yeah, it's nice to see that, and I think it creates an atmosphere even though you don't think about it. Like, subconsciously, like, you're not walking – like, I've been to a million Panthers games because I live 30 minutes from that stadium. You can tell it was built in 1994. Like, it is what it's a college stadium for NFL teams. Like, that's all it is. And it serves its purpose, but they need to upgrade. There's a reason why all the teams that are winning, like the Bills, their new stadium's going to be ready this year. Vegas they moved cities.
The Bills' new stadium isn't really. I don't understand making it again to where it's so, open to the elements again. Why would they do that?
I don't understand. I understand the preservation of the game, but and maybe you feel this way too, Adam. If you're going to make it that way, you say, hell no, we play in the snow, we want it. Go all out and make it like Green Bay. Just say, hey, look, the seats don't have to be bleachers. That's a shot at you, Lambeau. You don't have to have bleachers for seats, but hey, it's open. We welcome the snow. Like, just say it up front, like, we're building an open stadium because it's to our advantage. Doing that little cookie cutter, like, it's almost like the Jeep Wrangler thing. You're like, well, no, I have a bikini top where, like, I have the doors on, but the back window is open. It's like, take the top off or don't, dude. What are you doing?
Right.
I don't understand. I didn't like that. I'm sure it'll be sweet, like, technology-wise. It'll be built great, but I didn't like that either. It reminds me of like a soccer stadium. Like, this is for NFL, man. This is for soccer.
But I am glad that their team is willing to invest because, like Minnesota, that Buffalo franchise has a great history and they have a lot of talent and they got a lot of future to show the NFL. So good stuff there.
I'd like to see them, before we move on to that news, I would like to see them host another Super Bowl. I know Las Vegas is back in the mix this year, coming up. I guess technically it'd be early 2027, but this coming season, it's in LA. The following year, it's in Atlanta. And I think they just said recently that Vegas is coming back for 2029. They just had one in Vegas.
With those Vegas tax laws, it's going to be hard to get people to not host their events there.
Well, it's also like, where do you want to go? I understand people would be like, I don't want to go to Minnesota in February. I'd rather go to Miami. Like, I'd rather go to Vegas. Like, I understand
it's like
that,
when the Pro Bowl stopped sending their people to Hawaii.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing? I don't want to.
People are like,
play
I'm
flag
not
football in Kansas.
going
What are we doing
anymore.
right now?
But I don't think we have a whole lot else to talk about. Do you have anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, had to do this one because it was kind of sad, but we wanted to reflect on Joey Browner's passing. Just want to throw that out there, and again to plug you, go to the Viking Age. Adam wrote a great article on this 3 or 4 days ago. So, yeah, 6-time Pro Bowl defensive back, and he was part of the 50 greatest Vikings. Joey Browner passed away. So,
I believe he is in the Vikings Ring of Honor as well.
Talking about it here. We got them.
Which is pretty fantastic because he was one heck of a player. And it was great to so many of his former teammates and even current players say, I got to meet him and get to know him and know that he was a great guy on and off the field. But he was one of those people that when he was off the field, he was one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. As soon as he got on the field, monster.
That's what you want, man. Honestly. A guy that can turn the switch on.
I used to have a guy when I went to high school that had that exact same philosophy. Like, as soon as he got on the football field, he was crazy, just aggressive, hitting hard, just so much energy. But then as soon as he was off the field, just a normal, calm guy.
That one that always stands out to me from our era is Troy Polamalu, because you hear him talk. He's got the long hair. He looks like a pretty boy surfer, and you're like, oh, he's a maniac on the field. It's crazy. Mike asks, what are the chances that Minnesota is eyeing George Paton as GM? I think that'd be great, but you know what? I don't think Sean Payton is going to let him go anywhere. They have absolutely nailed the draft since he's been there, and I think him and Sean are in cahoots, and it would probably be a lot. I'd love for him to come back, but you have to remember, Mike, he left Minnesota before he got that head position that he's at now. And that would be a lateral move, so he'd have to have a lot of incentive to come back to Minnesota. And I'm sure they could find the money for it, but, like, he's got a good gig going. And right now, obviously.
If we're being honest, I mean, right now I think Rob Brzezinski has that trial right now with the draft. And if he does well, I could definitely see them offering him a full-time role.
I think it's his to lose, honestly.
Right, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it's definitely Rob's job to lose because he's been with the team so long and been involved with all this stuff now. Like, I understand why Kwesi's time here didn't go as well as we had all hoped and he had hoped. He's still very young and fairly new and kind of climbed the ranks pretty fast. Rob's been climbing that ladder slow and steady for years.
And he's got a great reputation for having knowledge of the game, knowledge of contracts.
Oh, yeah, he's a contract wizard, the finance guru. But the thing why I don't see, to your point, Mike, about George Paton is, like, one, it's Rob's, like Adam was saying, job to lose, but what's the incentive for him to come here outside of money? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I had to put my money down, you gave me $1,000 to bet who would go to the Super Bowl right now this upcoming season, the Broncos or the Vikings. I'm hammering the Broncos on there because they had Bo Nix not gotten hurt. I don't know how much better they would have been against the Seahawks as the Patriots did in the Super Bowl, but I don't think they could have did worse.
Right.
I don't think they would have been worse than what the Pats were. So, unfortunately, their quarterback got hurt in the championship game, which really sucks, or the divisional round, my bad. But, that team he's built to, every year that he's great there, he can either ask for a raise or he can go wherever he wants after. I don't think he's done. It didn't feel like his time is done in Denver right now. That's my guess.
So let's finish up the show by talking about our expectations for this next season, because I know the roster isn't filled out, but with Kyler Murray at quarterback, I don't know why I'm feeling kind of optimistic.
I think you get a proven veteran, and yeah, the injury history is not my favorite, but you got to understand, I'm looking at the ceiling. I'm taking into consideration with pause and with caution the injuries, but I remember, and I brought the stats up. I know we talked about this on the show with me at some point because I brought this up. His rookie year, he was like, wasn't he the offensive rookie of the year? And then the next year, he had MVP votes.
Yeah.
3,800 yards, lots of touchdowns. And then you didn't bring this into account. We haven't thought about this ever with a Vikings quarterback not named Fran Tarkenton. He had like 800 rushing yards and double-digit rushing touchdowns that second year in the league. I only need him to be like 75% of that with the Vikings.
And let's be honest, that Cardinals franchise, not exactly known for getting the most out of their players.
And you know
Unless,
what?
it's Larry Fitzgerald, I guess.
Yeah. Here's what I would say. You want to bring up the video game stuff or he's short or whatever, I'll give you the best thing. He sold me immediately, and I shouldn't buy into words from a player because they're all supposed to be confident or whatever. But I've seen what the ceiling is for him, and it's pretty awesome. It's top 10. His ceiling is a top 10 quarterback in the league. Now, a lot of things have to go right for that. But somebody questioned him, and he answered this in a press conference, and I love this answer. They're like, so what do you say to people who are like, well, he doesn't care enough about the game and blah, blah, blah. He goes, I'm going to give you my resume. And you're not going to like me doing that, but hear me out. He's like, I went undefeated in high school in football in Texas. You know how hard that is to do in that state? He's like, I'm the only one to ever do that. He's like, and I got drafted 9th overall in the MLB. Undefeated every game in high school and drafted 9th in the MLB. He goes, I was the first one ever and the only to do that. He goes, I am 5'10" in the NFL. My job is already hard enough. And you think I don't want to be here? You think I don't have a passion for the game? You think I just want to make my life super duper hard? Come on, guys. And I was like, how the fuck can you argue that? That's the best retort that I've ever heard, and I didn't know that side of him. Here's what my theory is. This is just me blind trying to paint a picture for y'all, and I don't have any justification. This is just my opinion. I don't think Arizona sparked his interest at all, and I think he was one of those like, yeah, I'm probably the best player on the team, and the rest of the team's pretty much shit outside of, did he get to play at the end of Larry Fitzgerald, and then he had the end of J.J. Watt. Respectfully to those guys, they're Hall of Famers, but they weren't peak at any moment while Kyler Murray was there. Who else has been on that team that's great? Buda Baker? That's it. I can't name you another person. We had the end of, or the back end of DeAndre Hopkins. Like, nobody that he played with, he didn't have a complete offense the entire time he was there. No. They rotate offensive coordinators and head coaches like every other year. They have a top 10 draft pick every year, and I'm not going to put the blame on him because my football IQ and my eyeballs have shown me I can see a really good quarterback on a shitty team and then him thrive somewhere else. Look at Matt Stafford. That's my prime example. Look at Baker Mayfield. Won a playoff game with the shittiest franchise in the league, and they threw him to the Wolves, and that roster was way better than what Arizona's had for Kyler Murray. So
that's one of the hardest things about football is looking at individuals and teams and trying to figure out, is this a team problem or is this an individual problem?
I don't see it being a Kyler Murray issue. Is there things that he should do better and be better at for the money he gets paid, where he was drafted? Sure. I think he'd be the first one to tell you, like, yeah, I haven't played my best yet. I'd like to. I'd like to get back to this year and this style. But also, like, this franchise didn't do me any favors. We're talking about the franchise here, and I'm being petty as shit now. They were the ones that were making their players pay for their food in the cafeteria.
Right.
What are we doing? You know, like, that, I can't understand that at all. I think this is exactly what he needs. This is what J.J. McCarthy needs. This is what Kevin O'Connell wanted. And as long as he stays healthy, I mean, dude, look out. Because you got to think about it. He got hurt last year, and I don't know the extent of the injury. He didn't play all year last year. He's had a lot of time to get healthy. He's had a lot of time to, like, get ready and say, all right, I'm probably done in Arizona. Like, I think there's going to be a fire under his ass, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Got him shrinking again.
He's only 5'8". That's the issue. That's awesome. That was you see my name on here, Broski Bear. When we take your comment down, it's Adams is Overwatch over Call of Duty. Mine's Kyle Smith. I had a thing up a couple weeks ago that was like no midget quarterbacks, like taking a jab at him, and then it was 5'10" and like 3/8 inches or whatever, hinting that like we're gonna get Kyler Murray. I'm 5'11". I don't know. I need to stand next to the guy to get a gauge. And then I'm going to feel bad about myself because he's muscular. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life, you know?
Yeah, if you stay healthy, you could make a difference.
Win the division and have home field advantage and make it the NFC Championship game. That's probably your peak, Mike. I would agree. Here's the thing. Here's why I'm skeptical on that. It isn't even the Vikings. The Bears are going to be good again. The Packers are going to be good again. I hope Detroit sucks again, but that roster's still really good. I still think we're arguably punching our way from the bottom trying to get to the top of the division. This is a really good division. So, I don't know. home field advantage in the playoffs, that seems like a far stretch. But
I'd
we've
like
seen
it.
crazier things happen. Sam Darnold was a backup the year he came to Minnesota and lit it up. So, hey, crazier things have happened.
We'll see, and hopefully this will all help in the development of J.J. McCarthy, which I guess we'll end by talking about the weird J.J. McCarthy possible trade rumors. Have you heard any of those?
I have heard nothing about trade. Who?
So the last thing I heard is that the Jets are interested in acquiring him.
Of course it's the fucking Jets. Of course it is. That would be the saddest quarterback room in the 2026 season. Geno Smith and J.J. McCarthy. And like, all respect to those guys. Like, Geno had great years in Seattle. Like, he's a pro, but...
But why would Minnesota even really want to trade him right now? They've got a position where he can learn for a year, and he ended the season pretty solid. I mean, you can be optimistic about his future, even if he's not the starter this season.
I don't necessarily think it's because they love him. I very vaguely, they don't go out and get Kyler Murray if they think they're set. I just think they more view him as like the investment, more of the pick rather than the player. And they're like, nah, we invested a 10th overall pick on your ass. Like, we're going to try to get our money's worth. And who knows? Like, we've seen people take big jumps. He's had a weird start to his career, and I always, as much as I hate on him, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt of, okay, you had to redshirt your first year. I don't care the reason. You didn't get to play one single down. Okay, cool. Last year was weird because he shouldn't have been handed the keys. He should have had better competition. But I'm not even worried about the competition. I think he was better than Sam Howell. I just don't like the kid gets hurt all the fucking time. That's what bothers me the most. Is what percentage did I say? He's been in the league 2 years and he's played 29% of his games. For a 10th overall pick, that's major bust, like F- category so far. But that's also
not fair.
You've got
him
fair.
With injury problems. You got Murray with injury problems. You got Carson Wentz, who is coming off a pretty bad shoulder injury. But if you take a look at the quarterback depth chart that way, you probably don't feel great about the position.
I mean, it's you have to give your first round pick 3 years before you make a decision. Yeah, that's the formula. That's what Jared Goff was asked this famously. 3 seasons, sure. But I also am under the thing, like, and I'm talking to Broski Bear specifically on this, like, if I have the chance to upgrade, I'm going to upgrade. Right now, as it sits, is Kyler Murray better than J.J. McCarthy? Yes. And I think there's a far gap between them. But that, like you were saying, Adam, that doesn't mean he can't improve, and this is why they're keeping him. But to your point, I didn't know that the Jets were interested. I had not heard
and
this
keep
at
in
all.
mind, Murray's only here on a 1-year deal, so it doesn't mean McCarthy's out of the picture in any way. I do not expect any kind of deal to get done or have any situation where McCarthy is not on this roster this season.
I don't either. And here's the best case scenario of recent that I can use this example for. Not even Sam Darnold. Bounce around from the Jets to Carolina, then he goes to San Fran and does like a reset year. I'm not even looking at that. I'm looking at like Bryce Young. Top pick in the draft. JJ, not number 1, but like top 10 pick. So a very high draft pick. And he has to have a season or two where things need to like, he has to ride the wave and the peaks and valleys. And then if Kyler lights it up, or if he stinks it up, let's just say he's just not on the team next year for X, Y, and Z reason. Can J.J. McCarthy jump in and be like, oh, shit, he looks okay. He's still young. That's the biggest thing. This kid's only like 22 or 23. He's not even in his prime yet. So I do see that part of it. My biggest gripe is, and I'll say this till the day I die, he was a handoff merchant in college. I don't think he was supposed to be taken 10th overall. I think it was a second round value. You took him 10th overall. What can you do as a coach to unlock him? That's the question. And maybe this is a good thing. Maybe another year of him sitting back and chilling and understanding like, all right, it's really tough out here. I got to get really good, but whatever. If McCarthy can live to the hype I was talking about, then it should be better than Murray this season. Yeah, that's the thing, though. I haven't seen anything close to that, Broski Bear, where he's just been great. Like, we saw one quarter where he looked like Joe Montana out of the
entire. And there are some moments where McCarthy can throw a ball, and you're like, that was a great ball.
There were some great anticipatory throws. Like I know one to the sideline to Jalen Naylor was beautiful. I can't remember who they were playing. Um, he's got heart. I'm not questioning his heart and his grittiness. I don't like his injury history. That's the number one thing. And he rocket balls everything. He was Brett Favre in the football all year. I'm like, bro, you don't have to throw it. It's crazy. Like you don't have to be. I don't know. His nerves probably got the best of him too. He seems to be an emotional guy, which in the right context could be great, but it is what it is.
But hopefully next time we get together, we can have all three of us and get things all figured out.
Hey, shout out before we jump off
here. A whole lot of Vikings news to catch up on, but I was still enjoying having a show.
Shout out while we got everybody on here. Broski Bear, appreciate you. I've never seen you before, but I'm glad you came in. Good conversation. Mike was on here. Michael Cambria. Barber Fade Up. What up? My buddy David was on here as well. Like, I appreciate it. And is that Sergio? Yeah, Sergio was at the very top, so cool. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Chad Greenway was injured early on, too. That's a good point. It's really, like, it's not fair, but because it's a quarterback, we're going to give him, like, way more attention than maybe he needs.
Oh, absolutely.
It is what it is. That's a good point, though. I like the Greenway point. I'm going to put your stuff up here so you can promote it. Please go and support
You can check
Adam.
out my work over on the Viking Age. I'm also at MN Viking Zombie on every single social media you can find out there. I'm hoping the next show we'll be able to stream to TikTok. But like I said, I am a little scared about that because I know TikTok audiences are a bit more aggressive. And I kind of like the chill, laid-back system here.
It doesn't matter. You know what? If anybody's being an asshole in the comments, I'm not putting them up there.
There you go.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing about being God on this app or platform or whatever. Like Broski Bear, I'm assuming you're a Bears fan. As you said, most Vikings fans are in denial about that. Good point. We can have banter. You can even talk shit as long as it's not like blatant. Fuck you, or you're acting crazy. Right? I don't care. Like you can talk your shit. We'll have a good conversation. I just love talking ball.
If you can do it respectfully, that's great.
You get on here, we can bust each other's balls, but you get on here saying some crazy stuff, I'll just ban you from the chat and block you. So bring it on. I don't care.
On top of it.
Yeah, we're not putting that negative crap in here. We got a good little niche following, and I enjoy it. But thanks for the new chat, Broski Bear. Come back if you want. Appreciate that.
Yeah, great having you guys in here. We always love having all our people in here talking with us, having a good conversation, helping us talk about what you guys want us to talk about. Because I'll be honest, we don't always come in here with a plan.
I didn't come in with a plan today. I had zero Vikings news, and here we are at an hour and 2 minutes, and you guys drove the show. So,
you got anything you want to plug?
Nah, man. The world's crazy right now. Take care of yourselves. All that fun, generic talk show at the end of the game show host stuff. Just be nice to each other.
Is your dog hounding you?
No, it's funny. I just got back from vacation. The work dog was in a doggy hotel for 2 weeks. So when we got back to work today, he was like, oh, thank you, God. My house dog, literally, I had to get teary-eyed yesterday. He was like, you didn't abandon me? You came back? I'm like, I went on vacation, man. He's oh, God, I'm so happy. So, yeah, I'm happy. I'm ready to bounce because I am old and I'm tired. It's 9 p.m. and I'm going straight to bed. So I'm glad we got to do a show, man.
Well, thanks again to everyone for joining us. We had a great conversation. We'll be back. It might be a little bit over a week. We'll probably do one show before the draft, I'm thinking, maybe two. But we'll see. In the meantime,